Welcome back to EDFF. Tonight, we're going to break down the money games and help you make some key decisions in your lineups moving forward. And if you like this podcast, please hit the like and subscribe buttons and support the channel. Now, there were only 2 games tonight, but a couple of big injuries to discuss and some updates from Sunday. Deshaun Watson, he has a torn Achilles. He's out for the season. Is it going to be Winston or DTR? I think Winston is the premium pickup here, although he doesn't really have anybody to throw to. Jane Daniels, he's week to week with the rib injury. Mariota should be rostered. He looked good coming in and relief. Spears, he could be back week 8. Montgomery is good to go, thankfully. Jameson Williams, however, will be suspended 2 games for an inappropriate substance. Given his checkered past and violating league rules, I think Detroit should cut bait here. And that's coming from a Detroit fan. Pick up Khalif Raymond in his absence. I think he's going to see about 6 to 8 targets a game. And the kid's got real speed. He might give you a touchdown. Thielen returns to practice this week. Tua is back. Huntley's shoulder is still unknown, but who cares? Taysom Hill has a chance for week 8. JT might practice this week, but hold on to Goodson for now. Derek Carr, we'll see. Rattler will start if he can't go. Olave is still in concussion protocol. If Rattler's going to start, I'm not sure he's going to come back that fast. Richardson, he's still the starter because winning isn't an option. Whittington increased the workload for Thursday Night Football this week. Smith-Schuster is out week 8 already. Hardman is the new add, the new pass catcher in KC until he hurts his hamstring. Daniel Jones, he's still the starter, but not on your fantasy football team. Hopkins has some knee soreness. He's a vet. He'll probably be resting this week. Will Levis is week to week, but he's on the waiver wire. O'Connell, they finally put him in IR. He's out 4 to 6 weeks. Minshew is not a good ad here. Although they did pick up Riddler, he's not a good ad either. Metcalf has a grade 1 MCL sprain. He's week to week. So JSN wins here. CMC is likely for a week 10 return because they have a week 9 bye. That all makes sense. Ayuk, he's done for the season, but he made a lot of money. Grab Jennings or Pearsall would be my second choice. Debo has pneumonia. He's day to day. Evans re-injured his hammy tonight and exited early. He could miss some time. And then the big news, obviously, Godwin, he's probably done for the season with a lower leg injury. More to follow on that. Okay, let's look at the Monday games. The first one was the exciting one, the Ravens versus the Bucks. Now, Mayfield had both wide receivers healthy for at least a little while, and then he lost Evans, and then, of course, Godwin at the end of the game. The coach is responsible for the loss of Godwin. It's terrible. The Ravens had already benched their primary players, and they were still playing, and there was no way they were going to win. I hope somebody takes some accountability on this one. Now, I said the Ravens are also susceptible to tight ends, so Otten could have another TD opportunity this week. He didn't get the TD, but he had 100 yards with 8 catches. Mayfield threw a bunch of touchdowns. Unfortunately, he lost a bunch of wide receivers. He had a huge night, but the real story is what happened at the wide receiver position. Now, we finally got our answer on the whole Buck running back situation with 3 running backs, and the coaches said they're all going to get a series. Well, they did. Really couldn't determine who the hot hand was, so they kind of went back to the starter. White was the one who won the total touches war, if you will. He's like the one alpha, but Irving is definitely the one bravo. Irving looked better on the ground. White had better opportunities through the air. And from a PPR standpoint, White caught 6 for 71 and 2 touchdowns, and that was huge. Bucky got a TD on the ground. They both look good. They can both be started moving forward, but Tucker, he took a back seat, as he should, as the third running back. He's a good bench stash for now. Baltimore was Baltimore. Henry was Henry. Man, he was huge. 169 yards on the ground, but no rushing touchdowns, but a receiving touchdown. Weird, right at the end of the game. Kind of trash, garbage time, but hey, if you're a Henry owner, you'll take it. You don't have to be a Nostradamus to know that Henry's going to have a big night every night. I think he's projected to have like 2,600 yards on the ground or something like that by the end of the season. It's disgusting, but awesome. He's the RB1 overall. Jackson was his usual dominant self. He threw for 5 touchdowns. Zay Flowers kind of looked injured. They talked about it a little bit during the game. He played the whole night, but the big plays went to Bateman. He had 4 for 121 and a touchdown. And there was a point where Henry sat an entire corner, and then Justice Hill came in. But then, that scare went away, and Hill got a touchdown during that resting period. I said a tight end would get a touchdown tonight. I wasn't sure if it was going to be Andrews. It kind of pontificated on that. Well, it was Andrews, and he got 2. Okay, I take it back. Don't trade him. The big question is, who do you grab to replace Evans and Godwin? Otten is definitely a must pick up, and he's out there. McMillan is a good player, but he had some bad drops tonight as a rookie, but he's still going to get some extra targets. Expect 8 to 10 going forward. And I wouldn't be surprised to see the Bucs sign a wide receiver since they don't really have a chance to get in the playoffs until Evans gets back healthy. All right, and the other Monday night football game we could have done without, over on ESPN Plus, which is why nobody subscribes, is the Chargers versus the Cardinals. Now, Murray couldn't really connect with Harrison, who caught only 3 for 21 yards. Looks like that week 1 awesome game by Harrison was a spoofer. Dortch had his usual 1-catch night, but a lucky touchdown. Connor, big night. 150 total yards, but no touchdowns. McBride, another good night. 5 catches for 51, but no touchdowns. Herbert, he had a decent night if you look at it from a yards perspective. He passed for 349 yards, but no touchdowns. He's not really a startable fantasy quarterback at this point because he really has no one to throw to. Dobbins was awful tonight. Looked like he was injured or something. He just looked off, slow. I don't know. Arizona did load the box against him. They allowed the passes to the mediocre receivers because there really wasn't anyone out there. Disley had a big night. He caught 8 for 81 and he was open most of the time. And there's the money recap. Hope you were able to win your matchups this week. Stay tuned for tomorrow's waiver show. There's a lot to target this week, especially with so many huge injuries to quarterbacks and wide receivers. And we'll have a big discussion on that. Now, before we sign off, I want to give a shout out to our men and women in uniform who protect the freedoms we hold dear. Thank you for your service and sacrifice. And finally, thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe and follow us on X, YouTube, Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts so you can stay up to date on our latest content. And until then, remember, established dominance isn't just a catchphrase, it's a commitment. Are you ready?